With all of the talking that we do around these parts, since we live here.
And we be talking.
Right. About, I wonder what people will do. You guys know this is comics, right? Is that when you're on the road, people will go, hey, if you ever do radio, they'll go, you guys get a chance to walk around town? Hey, you find where you basically get in town, take a nap, go on stage, you leave the next day. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, people think that like people are walking around all day long, in a town like Cleveland. Maybe you go to the Rock Hall, if you get a spare hour. But usually people aren't going to museums unless they have like a 2 or 3 night stay. And so people's brains go to, what did Michael Jordan do when he was in town? Nothing. He did nothing. He flew in, he walked into the midcourt, and he left. And by the way, I neglected to mention that my Bulls now have Tristan Thompson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he got released by the Pacers.
That's right. So whatever Khloe Kardashian sightings we've lost in Cleveland, they will make up for them in Chicago. The next time the Cavaliers will play the Bulls is in Chicago in March. But the Cavs are back playing ball Thursday night. Day after tomorrow, they'll be in Detroit to play the Pistons, the lowly Pistons. But they lost to them last time. Pistons beat them last time, I think. Yeah. So any given Thursday is what they say.
When these players bounce around like that, they just rent? Or do they buy a house in every city they go to? Or do they just rent out? Like I know the 9 downtown has like entire floor apartments for stuff like that.
So a lot of the teams have condos that they can stay in until they get settled or anything like that. So they're not like living in hotels or stuff like that. So like mid-season, a few years ago when the Cavs traded for a bunch of players like Antoine Jameson, they were living in that building where our new studios are going to be because the Cavs own part of that, or like they have apartments rented there, just ready for the players. Because my sister lived in that building, so she would see Cavs players all the time that would be living there.
I've told the stories before. When my mother-in-law, she moved to Northeast Ohio shortly after our daughter was born, and she has since bought a house. But when she first moved here, she lived at Crocker Park, and all of her neighbors were Indians.
Yeah, they're all
all ball
players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we would like walk up or something, and she'd be talking to ball players.
Yeah.
She's like, that guy plays baseball. These are all your neighbors, are young dudes that they put up at the Crocker Park apartments.
He's a sweetheart. I know they have a lot of money, but I didn't know if they had buy a house everywhere you live money.
I mean, some of them do. Like Tristan Thompson could do that if he wanted to.
It seems silly to do that,
but it just seems,
like
hectic
to
move all
keep
your
track
stuff
of all
in,
that stuff. And so it's more of a nomadic lifestyle where you're like, okay, I have my place that I'm going to be during the season.
Yeah.
But then off season, I'm going to go here.
Plus, it depends on where you move to, because Cleveland, you could buy a really nice chunk of real estate here and, be just fine. Like a $2 million house here will be nothing in Texas or California.
Or Chicago even.
Chicago will be way more expensive. So you're better off buying something here because...
Well, I mean, but
they're probably also harder to sell.
They're also going to appreciate in those places too. So if you buy something there, it's going to go up in value because it keeps... Value? How do you say it?
Value.
That's how he says it, yes. Keeps its value.
Yeah. I was watching that Love is Blind show, and one of the guys on there has a really sweet apartment. I think it's probably a condo in Chicago, and it's like you see the lake and everything, and I'm like, man, this guy he's a real estate agent, so he must be doing real well.
For sure.
Because, I mean, I know real estate agents that are doing okay, but not like $1 million penthouse.
Well, yeah, it depends on where you're selling, what you're selling, and
I have a lot of friends that are in real. Like one day they just like gave up everything, like their past life, and they were reborn, and they were like, I'm gonna do real estate, and they make a killing. They do really well, and I don't know how. I'm like, it can't.
There's a lot of people in this business who, when they get kicked out or they leave or whatever, they go into real estate because they have some name equity. People recognize their face. That's a big pipeline. Is like media to real estate.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
you can
too.
Put your face on a bus bench.
I'm just saying
people go, I saw that guy used to do the weather on Fox or whatever, So
they make it look so easy. I know it's not, but they make it look so easy because it's like, I just sold my first house at age 25, and it's a $900,000 house, and I don't know what the commission on that is, but I mean, when you're 25, you don't have any kids. Like, for all intents and purposes, you're rich.
I don't think I would want to buy someone's first house that they sold. I want a real estate agent
I don't
who's
think
been
they tell
doing
you
it
that.
like 30 years.
Well, everybody's going to have a first house if that's the line of work they're in.
Right.
You're saying you don't want a green realtor.
I do not want a. I want a realtor.
Realtor?
Sorry, I always do that. I want a realtor who's been doing it at least a decade. Because I feel like they know all the workarounds and the little, if you do this here, and then we can save you 10,000 here.
But
if
they
you
have a
sign it on
staff.
this date.
You've been in. You want people who've been in the pipeline a little bit longer.
Yeah, right?
Well, I think that's true of
Something
any
as
business.
big as a house?
I think it's true of probably any person you're hiring to do something. You want someone as seasoned as they could possibly
Right.
be.
But again, I don't think they tell you that. It's not like your doctor's going to tell you, this is my first operation. Can't
you
wait.
can tell, though.
No, you can't.
You can go on
tell when-
LinkedIn. All you got to do is go on LinkedIn and find out how long they've been doing it.
You can tell when someone's new at their job. I don't care what their job
Not
is.
different than new it being first time. Like a doctor is not going to tell you that, oh, you're my first brain operation. This is great. They've been
Be under
doing
anesthesia.
Well,
I think.
also,
They've been doing
I
it in school.
I hope you're not equating brain surgery with selling a house, quite frankly.
No, I'm not.
It's not.
But
Like there's not a
It
lot
is
of
literally not
workarounds
brain surgery.
when it comes to buying a house. There's not like, well, we can save you money, especially. It all depends on the market. So
Yeah,
like, right
this is
now,
what the interest rate is.
This is a seller's market. So if you're selling a house, you're gonna get above asking, and you just need someone that knows what they're doing. I don't.
But you
like-
know what you're doing more the longer you've been doing something.
How many people do we know that have been doing comedy and radio that still don't know what the hell they're doing?
I mean, I guess.
Bill, I'm right here. Please,
I didn't know-
I'm right
See,
here. All
this is
right.
what I'm talking about. I didn't even know he was here. I've been doing this 10 years.
We can't see each other,
Yeah.
and so that really jams us up. Well, Steph Curry donated $108,000 to the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. So listen, he's just a kid from Akron. And
I was waiting for him to say that during his MVP speech.
Well, he never talks about that, though, does he? I mean,
No, but
yeah.
it would have been really funny for him to say that.
I'm just a kid from Akron.
I'm just a kid from Akron.
That would be the great part, though, of either if you were a touring musician or a professional athlete, where the opportunity, if you were so inclined and successful enough to do it, to like drop some coin in every city you were in. You know what kind of goodwill you would engender doing that? I mean, a lot of these guys, they aspire to be philanthropic when their career's over. Every city you're in.
Well,
They're like, Pearl Jam used to do this back in the day. Whatever city they were playing, they would donate to like a local house or whatever,
A lot of these guys have charities that either help the team that they're with locally or their national charities that help out a lot. And J.R. Smith was actually in the news last week for talking about this. He's like, I made all this money and I'm over, spending it on stupid stuff. He's like, I was so dumb and so wasteful with my money when I was younger that now I'm going to use this money that I have to actually try and build up communities that need it.
Yeah.
So it's like you see how much growth, a little bit of time at college, he's a new man.
Hey.
Good job, Earl.
Perspective.
Yeah, Under Armour said that his Steph Curry's brand is through Under Armour, and he was going to donate $1,000 for every point. He scored 50 points. Mm-hmm. $3,000 for every three-pointer. He hit 16.
Yes. Yeah.
And $10,000 if he won the MVP, which he did.
Good for him.
Yeah.
It was weird because he was on the same team. He was on LeBron's team, and there's two Cavs players on that team. So I was like, I guess I'm cheering for Steph Curry tonight.
You are? Yeah.
He was, but it was fun too. Like he was on fire. It was
Well,
a
you
good
were at
time.
the game, yeah?
Yeah, it was great.
And I saw I don't know if it was your video or someone else's, I just saw the tail end of the game.
So at the very end, this is something that I really like that they do now with the All-Star game is they play each quarter, and whoever wins that, their captain picks a charity. Mm-hmm. And so they get like $100,000 to that charity. It was tied after 3 quarters, I think, so they split $100,000. And then the way the game ends is they set a total, like once it gets to this point, that's when it's over. So it's not timed. And so they played to 163. And they were both, I think, 2 points away. So then it makes it kind of exciting because, like, it's not big stakes, but it makes it at least a little more exciting. And the guys start trying a little harder.
Big enough.
Because they want to win, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so LeBron hits this, like, turnaround fadeaway 2-pointer to win the game. And it was pretty awesome. He gave us one more big moment like that.
Was he really chuckling at Macy Gray singing the anthem?
Yeah, but that's what people
She
were
did it
saying.
again?
There was a photo. Well, she's from Canton,
Yeah.
so they had Macy Gray, who, by the way,
He's like kind of smiling, like, but he looks up at the screen, and then I think he sees himself on the screen, and I think that's why he was giggling. I don't think it had to do with Macy Gray, but people love to hate LeBron, so anything he does, they'll be like, "Oh, he's mocking the national anthem or whatever."
rude.
But if you listen to the way she sang it, I mean, she sang it exactly how you think Macy Gray would sing the national anthem.
She is a giant woman.
Yeah.
She's from Canton, Ohio, and I remember seeing her years and years and years ago before anybody really knew who she was, and we were in a club in Pittsburgh watching her, and I was there. I had gone at the behest of her record label guy, who was like, look, nobody really knows her yet. Like, that first song hadn't blown up yet. Could you please come to this show? Because really it's not. And so I said, okay, I'll go. And I went. I hadn't been in Pittsburgh that long. And there were literally more people on stage in her band than there were in the audience. It was like me and maybe 10 other people. And most of them were people I worked with. But they were really good. But she is a giant woman. She's very, very tall. Up in your seats, she probably didn't look much smaller than she would if you were sitting courtside.
I was wondering what you meant. I was like, she's not a fat woman.
No. She's a very tall woman.
And then she's got that big hair, too.
Big hair, the platform heels or whatever it is, And she has a very distinct voice, obviously. Just her and a guitarist.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn?
Don't laugh, Mary.
Again, light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam.
She's got a great voice. They've just never known what to do with Macy Gray. How to market her, how to,
Through the perilous fight,
And I think she'll throw some bows, too, if you get in her way. So.
thoughts we
She smokes Halloween.
was so gallant.
That never stopped anybody else from getting successful.
And the rocket's red glare
You were there for this?
Yeah.
You were the whole thing?
bursting, and air gave proof through the night that our flag was
Oh, yeah, they show LeBron kind of look up at the
Yeah.
Jumbotron and then sees himself and kind of...
Yeah, and kind of smiles. Yeah.
still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave
Bill Murray and Ahmad Rashad standing right next to him.
o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
See, that's dynamite. There's no histrionics. There's no, trying to
Yeah. Some people were
go
trying to.
crazy. That was great.
Some people were kind of trying to say it was as bad as Fergie's, and I was like, no, this one was good. I
she
really
can
enjoyed
sing.
this one.
Yeah, Fergie
And
can't
Fergie's
sing.
one was not good at all. Like that one was.
That was
goofy.
dynamite. So did they introduce her as from Canton, Ohio? Is that what
Probably.
Yeah, I believe they did, and it was good. It was also like this had to be the tallest Cleveland's ever been. Like
Yeah.
the average height had to jump up by a good 8 inches, just because there's so many gigantic people in town. Because even the people that it's a lot of basketball fans there, so you have guys that
Used to
play. So
uh-huh.
like just walking around. Usually when I'm going to a Cavs game, I'm one of the taller people. I can see over the crowd walking around. I felt like a child.
Yeah.
Because there's so many really tall people.
Giant
just
humans
around.
walking.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know who anyone was. We were leaving the crossover event, Bill and I, and we were walking out, and people were crowding around what I'm assuming is a basketball player, because super tall guy, but I don't like to stereotype, but he was tall and black. And so what do you think? People were crowding around this guy, and people were like throwing their phones at him. He's like, all right. And I'm like, I have no idea who that person is. And people, it just goes to show you how many people there are in the world and how many famous people there are. And you have no idea who they are.
It would have been great if you had recorded yourself walking up and asking them who they were.
No, I'm not going to troll. I'm not going to do that because I might get
Well,
jumped.
it's not
trolling. You didn't know who
genuinely
they
don't
were.
know.
Yeah.
You don't
Not
know.
trolling.
Yes, but I feel like it's rude. 'cause
Poundcake, do you ever think of the show? Ever think of the show?
I didn't want to get jumped. There was a bunch of little.
Jump you in
Jumped
public.
by whom?
There was a bunch of girls. They're like, oh my god.
You didn't want to get jumped by a bunch of girls.
Yes.
I wonder how many girls.
So
got
you don't
pregnant
think
this weekend.
Oh God.
How many groupies?
Poundcake
Yeah.
doesn't think of the show. Imagine him recording him asking this guy who he is, and he's still recording when he gets jumped by a bunch of girls.
Listen, Sean Kemp. There was reports that he was hanging out down the flats.
boy.
And he is well known for having a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other
He
thing.
leaves it in, boy.
Yeah.
Even if Cody did ask these people who they were, he wouldn't know the names.
Yeah.
So they'd say, I'm Sean Kemp. He'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, what? He wouldn't even have anything to say.
We wouldn't need him to know. We would just have the audio of him asking,
And it would be
then
funny.
it would be funny, right? But he doesn't ever think of the show. When he leaves here, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Well, I gave him a ride back to his house after we were done doing the show on Friday, and I love having a small car because I was able to like weave in and out of, because there were so many buses and so many SUVs, and what should be like 3 lanes basically became 2 because there's so many people
It wasn't
in
even
gigantic
2. It was
cars.
1.
Yeah,
because a bus want to pull over, and I'm like, you can't do that, man.
Yeah,
It's
and-
not a normal bus stop. No one's taking a bus downtown right now.
And Poundcake's like, you can't fit through there. I'm like, yes, I can. And I like squeezed through this little spot and got us out of there. No problem. Because I got that tiny little roller skate of a car.
Mind you,
But Poundcake, your car's not that big, is it? I mean, it's.
bigger than Bill's.
Bill's car is tiny. It's like a clown car.
Yeah. It's,
Do you find something funny about it? Was the
This is
best car I could afford.
This is the largest automobile that I could afford.
Macy Gray screwed up the national anthem 20 years ago at the NFL
I said
Hall
that.
of Fame game.
I said that when we talked about her last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever we talked about her the first time coming and singing. I said she screwed it up, and you guys
Oh.
told me I was wrong. You're like, no, you're thinking of Fergie or whatever. I was like,
Well, no,
Macy
I don't.
Gray.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Fergie definitely screwed it up.
Fergie's the one like that got memed a lot.
Yeah.
She was the more
20 years
contemporary,
ago.
famous
Yeah.
one. Yeah, every generation has its celebrity that really jams the anthem the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The '80s, you had Roseanne,
yeah.
at the ball game and grabbing her crotch. Which in this country, oh my goodness, everyone clutching their pearls.
And now she's
Macy
a hero.
Gray's mom was my junior high school math teacher, and she was a giant woman too, someone says.
Amazon.
Well, there you go. Yeah, very tall women. But I like that. I just like the timbre of her voice, and so I think she did a great job with that.
I remember Macy Gray from childhood as the theme song singer for As Told by Ginger. Do you remember that?
You're going
I
to
don't
need to
know that
repeat that
show.
sentence. None of those words made sense to me. What again?
She sang the theme song for As Told by Ginger. Macy Gray did.
Who is that? Was that a Disney Channel show?
It was Nickelodeon.
I don't remember that show.
Someone once told me that grass was much greener on the other side.
You do a pretty decent Macy Gray.
It's not bad. Yeah.
I paid a visit, but it happened. I missed it.
The show was on for 4 months, so that's probably why you
No,
don't
it
remember
was not on for 4 months.
The first episode was October of 2000. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread that. I thought it said 2001. It was on for a long time. We started
gonna
watching.
say.
We started watching that Nickelodeon documentary yesterday. Have you seen that?
No.
It's called Team Orange or something. It's about the first days of Nickelodeon. And because we didn't have cable growing up, I didn't really. I forgot how much I remembered about Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon really blew up for 90s kids.
Yeah. Mhm.
But for me, as an old guy, there was something called Pinwheel that preceded.
yeah.
Remember Pinwheel?
I remember Pinwheel, and I remember you can't do that on television.
Well, that was part of Nickelodeon, but Pinwheel was like the channel that preceded Nickelodeon. And it got like 0 coverage nationwide. I think
Yeah.
we had it in Chicago, but it was like, but those earliest days of Nickelodeon where they were like, it was Double Dare and you can't do, which were like shows they took from other, you can't do that in television, was a Canadian show. But this documentary, before my daughter got really bored of it, it was very entertaining.
There was a time in the early 90s where I was a young kid, 5, 6, 7, where every birthday party I went to was Nickelodeon themed. So
Yeah.
we were getting slimed and we were doing Double Dare challenges. And it was so fun because I feel like there's nothing to really do that. Now, what, you have a Dora the Explorer party or whatever, but there
I
was a
have
chunk
bounce
of
houses and
time.
stuff,
yeah.
yeah.
There was a chunk of time where we were just doing all of those Nickelodeon shows.
I think our era was like the last era of like how much TV can affect like childhood.
Yeah.
Like anything that went on Disney Channel, any artist that came on Disney Channel, they could sing.
They're like
not,
a star, yeah.
Not sing. They'd come out with a CD and you had to buy it. And I think because everything is so I don't think saturated is the right word.
Oversaturated, probably.
Yeah, oversaturated. Now where Nickelodeon and Disney don't have that much power. But
YouTube does, though. Blippy is a billionaire, and he's like a dude who puts up YouTube clips of him talking to animals and stuff.
Yeah, and my daughter still watches stuff on Nickelodeon. all the
billionaire?
time. I didn't realize, though, per this documentary, I didn't realize that Nickelodeon really exploded because they were part of Orlando Universal. And so when they got integrated into that, and the Nickelodeon studios became a monster, that's what really, really exploded that
Yeah,
company.
I can believe that.
We went there when I was a kid and like saw. We did the tour there and we saw an episode of Clarissa Explains It All being
Yeah.
filmed.
Hey, there you go.
We weren't in the studio audience, but we were just like
Right.
walking through and you could see it, and it was pretty cool to see that. And I love Double Dare so much that we got gerbils when I was probably 6 or 7 years old.
You're not allowed to say it on the radio.
Yes, as a 6 or 7 year old, I was very experimental.
That is the anal phase, according to Freud.
But my brothers, they're like, you're gonna give yours a stupid name, and I go, no, my dribble's named Mark Summers,
Right.
because that was like the most professional name I could think of at that age, because he was on Double Dare.
Max Power hadn't occurred to you yet? Let me take a break here. If you want to text for anything, 35192 to get us there. You can hit us up at alancoxshow.com and listen anywhere you are, whatever you're doing on the iHeartRadio app.